The crystalline corridors of the Virerna always made Kale feel as if he were walking inside a giant, reflective soap bubble. One that judged him silently every time he passed by a security drone. The air shimmered with faint bioluminescent dust, each particle humming in a tone barely audible to human ears. The Lethari called it the breath of the ship. Kale suspected it was more like the glitter that never stops sticking to your clothes. He had given up trying to wash it off. Even the laundry bot had beeped in defeat. He kept his head down as he hurried through the corridor, pretending to study a datapad with unusual intensity. He wasn't reading anything. He had simply learned that if you looked busy enough, people, especially queens, tended not to stop you. Normally. But Queen Alarith was not normal. She was Lethari, a species that looked disarmingly human except for long, tapering ears that shimmered faintly when she felt strong emotions. The ears were beautiful, elegant, and, tragically for Kale, impossible to ignore. Every time she approached, those ears caught the light like liquid silver. Every time she spoke to him, they gave the impression she could hear all the secrets he didn't even realize he had. And so Kale avoided her with the focused determination of a man whose survival instincts had evolved specifically for royal encounters. He ducked into a side hallway as a pair of guards passed, their armor glowing softly. One of them turned his head, scanning Kale with the casual suspicion only an alien soldier could muster. Kale offered a friendly nod that he hoped conveyed, "I am harmless. Please don't arrest me. I bruise easily." When the guards continued onward, he allowed himself a slow exhale. He was safe. For now. His day should have continued uneventfully. He planned to hide in the xenobotany lab until dinner, but fate, especially interstellar fate, had a dramatic streak. As he rounded the corner, he nearly collided with a service drone carrying a tray of luminous fruit. The drone wobbled, beeped in a language Kale suspected translated to something rude, and zoomed away. Kale groaned. Even the robots are judging me. He braced himself and peeked around the next corridor. Empty. He hurried forward, taking advantage of the brief window in which no one important seemed to be hunting him, except someone was. He felt it first, a faint shift in the air pressure, the gentle tremor of footsteps too soft for a human to detect but unmistakable aboard a Lethari vessel. He froze. His instincts screamed at him to sprint in the opposite direction, but he knew better. Running only made the queen more curious, or amused, or both. He turned slowly. There she was. Queen Alarith stood at the far end of the corridor, tall and graceful, her long ears glowing with a soft, pale light. Her silver-white hair fell over her shoulders like flowing starlight, and her eyes, dark, reflective, ancient in a way he would never understand, studied him with quiet intensity. And he panicked. "Your Majesty," he blurted, bowing so fast he nearly toppled. "Didn't see you there. Actually, I did see you. I just didn't see you until now, which is seeing you, obviously. Hi." She blinked slowly, an expression the Lethari considered a polite greeting, but which to humans always looked like a queen evaluating whether to have someone escorted to the nearest airlock. "Kale," she said, her voice calm and oddly melodic. "You are difficult to find." He tried to laugh casually. It came out like a dying ventilation fan. "Oh, am I? That's so strange." One of her ears flicked in amusement, catching the corridor light with an almost teasing sparkle. "You avoid me," she said, not accusing, not angry, just observing. Kale felt every internal alarm activate at once. "Avoid? No. No, I'm not avoiding you. I'm just strategically located elsewhere. Randomly, coincidentally." Her expression remained unreadable. Then, slowly, she stepped closer, each movement impossibly fluid. The shimmering dust around her responded to her presence, swirling in gentle currents like she carried gravity with her. Kale tried to maintain eye contact, but his gaze kept darting to her ears. They were glowing more brightly now. Oh no, he had learned enough Lethari body language to know that meant she was feeling something strong. He was very afraid it was curiosity. He was even more afraid it was interest. "Human," she said softly. "There must be a reason." He swallowed. His throat felt like he'd swallowed a dry sponge. The silence stretched. A nearby maintenance bot rolled past them, paused, and muttered in a metallic whisper, Awkward tension detected before fleeing. That didn't help. Alarith tilted her head, ears shimmering like moonlit blades. Will you not speak to me? Kale inhaled, exhaled, attempted to act like a normal adult human man and not a malfunctioning toaster. It's not you, he said weakly. It's well you. Her ears glowed brighter. He flinched. I mean you're very, queenly, and your ears glow, and you look at me like you're scanning my emotional hard drive, and I panic, okay? A beat of silence. Then very softly she laughed. The sound was light and warm, surprising him enough that he forgot to be terrified for a moment. So that is why, she murmured. You flee because you are overwhelmed. More like short-circuiting, Kale admitted. But yes. Her smile deepened, small but real. And for the first time, Kale realized something unsettling. She wasn't offended. She was pleased. And that, more than anything else, made his heart drop straight into his boots. The queen took one final step toward him, close enough that the faint luminescence of her ears brushed his vision like soft starlight. Then, she said, I will simply have to make speaking to me less overwhelming. Kale was doomed. Truly, completely doomed. But for the first time, he wasn't sure he minded. The Star Garden of the Vyrerna was the only place on the ship where gravity behaved as if it were deciding, moment to moment, whether it still believed in its own job description. Kale stepped onto the floating platform and felt the familiar, gentle lurch as the artificial fields swayed around him like a distracted dancer. Bioluminescent vines spiraled upward from shimmering soil, humming softly to themselves. Lethari botanists claimed the plants communicated through harmonic vibrations. Kale suspected they were just singing because they were bored. He wasn't here by choice. Queen Alarith had asked him to meet her in the Star Garden, which meant coming here voluntarily was just slightly safer than being dragged here by palace guards. He shifted nervously, trying to stand in a way that made him look calm and brave. The result probably made him look constipated. A small hover drone zipped past him, scanned his face, and chirped. Diplomatic subject detected. Emotional distress level, moderate. It then offered him a glowing berry for comfort. Kale declined the berry. The drone insisted. He declined again. The drone recorded his refusal as a suspicious political gesture and zoomed away. Kale groaned. Why does everything on this ship misunderstand me? You are very easy to misunderstand. He jumped so high the gravity field flickered. Queen Alarith had appeared behind him without a sound, her presence as quiet as drifting starlight. Her long ears shimmered gently, glowing with a soft lunar brightness that made her seem ethereal, otherworldly, and also deeply terrifying. Your Majesty, Kale squeaked. He tried to bow, but the inconsistent gravity made his bow turn into more of an uncontrolled wobble. She watched him with an expression that suggested she found this endearing, or amusing, or both. You accepted my invitation, she said. I am pleased. Kale cleared his throat. Well, technically I accepted because one of your guards stared at me until my survival instincts said yes. Her ears flickered with quiet laughter. I will thank them. He winced. Please don't. They already think I'm fragile. Are you not? That's beside the point. She stepped closer, the vines reacting to her presence by blooming larger and brighter, as though trying to impress her. Kale tried not to feel jealous of photosynthetic life. You said you avoid me because I overwhelm you, she said softly. Kale wished the gravity would temporarily increase so he could sink into the floor. Yes, I might have said something like that, in a moment of extreme honesty. Honesty is not a flaw. Her voice was warm, melodic. I would rather have truth than the polite silence others give me. He blinked. People give you polite silence. Many, I am queen. They fear offending me. Oh, well, I fear offending you too. I'm just terrible at hiding it. Good, her smile flickered. I prefer terrible honesty to perfect politeness. Kale felt his pulse jump, but before he could respond, several small drones drifted nearby, blinking with bright blue lights. He recognized them. The diplomatic observer drones. They recorded all high-level discussions for archival purposes. Unfortunately, they had no sense of privacy, or decorum, or timing. One drifted closer and announced in a cheerful metallic voice, potential consort interaction detected. broadcasting to leadership channels. Kale choked. No, 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 absolutely not. This is not. There's no consort anything happening here. Alarith calmly raised a hand. The drones froze midair, but they kept recording. She turned back to Kale with a calm expression that told him she had long ago learned to accept the chaos of her station. Do not worry, they misinterpret everything. That doesn't make me feel better. Would you like me to deactivate them? Yes, please, immediately, with fire if possible. She tilted her head. We do not use fire on this ship. Okay, fine. Fireless destruction, I'm flexible. Her ears glowed brighter. Amusement. She pressed a command on the thin crystalline band around her wrist. The drones powered down and drifted away like confused fireflies. Kale sighed in relief. Thank you. You are welcome, she said, stepping closer again. Now, will you finally tell me why you fear speaking to me? He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. His brain staged a small, dramatic collapse. I don't fear you, I just don't know how to be normal around you. She blinked slowly. Is that not normal by human standards? No, I mean yes. No, sometimes look, it's complicated. Her smile warmed. I enjoy your confusion. I've noticed. A gentle silence settled between them, filled only by the humming vines and the soft swirl of low-gravity dust motes. Ilarith reached out and touched one of the glowing leaves. It pulsed under her fingertips like a small star. When you avoid me, she said quietly, I wonder if I have done something wrong. Kale froze. What? No, you haven't done anything wrong. You're incredible. You're a queen. You're brilliant. You have glowing ears. I can't handle glowing ears. Do you understand the emotional pressure of glowing ears? Her ears shimmered in delight. I do not. Well, trust me, it's a lot. She laughed, soft, airy, unexpectedly gentle. The vines brightened in response, as if trying to harmonize with her. Kale found himself smiling despite the panic still buzzing in his chest. Alarith studied him, her gaze steady but warm. I appreciate your honesty, she said. And, her voice softened further, I would like you not to avoid me anymore. Kale swallowed. I can try, no promises, but I can try. That is enough, she murmured. And in that moment, floating between drifting gravity, humming plants, and a queen whose ears glowed like soft starlight, Kale realized something he hadn't expected. He wasn't running. Not this time. The docking rings of the Vayrna thrummed with activity as diplomatic envoys arrived one after another, each vessel shaped according to its species. Design philosophy, sleek human modules, feathered avian capsules, cube-shaped automaton shuttles that hummed like oversized philosophical bees. They had all come to address what official reports described as an escalating cross-cultural misunderstanding. Kale privately translated that to, everyone thinks I accidentally proposed to the queen, which, to be fair, was not entirely inaccurate. He stood beside Queen Alarith as dignitaries disembarked, trying desperately to appear calm and definitely not a threat. Unfortunately, his left eyelid kept twitching, which probably made him look like a malfunctioning spy. The first envoy, a stone-skinned Orathan, approached with a bow so deep he nearly cracked the floor. Your Majesty, he boomed, we congratulate you on your new human consort. Kale made a noise like a swallowed squeak. Alarith's ears flickered with surprise, then amusement. There is no consort, she said smoothly. Only rumors. The Orathan nodded sagely. Ah, yes, rumors, which become traditions, which become treaties. He winked, an alarming gesture coming from a man whose eyes looked carved from granite and lumbered away. Kale groaned softly. This is going to haunt me forever. It is already haunting you, Alarith said, tone warm, but in an endearing way. Endearing for who? For me. He choked on air, again. Before he could recover, another envoy stepped forward, an elegant synthotronic diplomat whose entire head was a floating hologram of shifting constellations. We observed your Star Garden interaction, it intoned. Very productive. Would you like assistance forming your union contract? Kale briefly considered throwing himself out an airlock. Alarith dismissed the diplomat with a graceful gesture. There will be no contract, not at this stage. At this stage. Kale whispered, panicked. She glanced at him with a faint smile. I find it motivates you to remain honest. Oh, stars, he muttered. I'm going to evaporate. The diplomatic chaos escalated as more envoys arrived, misinterpreted, offered premature congratulations, or in one case attempted to gift Kale a ceremonial mating cloak covered in tiny bells. The cloak jingled with every move. It sounded like an overly excited wind chime. Kale wore it for 12 seconds before quietly dying inside and handing it back. Through it all, Alarith remained patient, serene even. She answered questions, dispelled rumors, and redirected assumptions with queenly elegance. Kale noticed the small things, the slight softening of her voice when speaking to nervous envoys, the gentle tilt of her glowing ears whenever someone expressed confusion or fear. She wasn't just managing politics, she was calming the galaxy, one misunderstanding at a time. And somehow he was helping. Granted, mostly by accident, and by panicking in a way that apparently reassured others he was harmless. But still helping. When the final envoy departed, leaving the docking ring mercifully quiet, Kale slumped against a railing and exhaled. I don't think I've ever been congratulated, proposed to, or diplomatically adopted so many times in one afternoon. Ilarith approached, her steps soft on the crystalline floor. You handled it well. I handled it like a man being chased by a polite stampede. And yet, she said, standing beside him, you did not run. He hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, I guess I didn't. Her ears shimmered gently, catching the light in soft waves. You have changed. When I first tried to speak with you, you fled at the sight of me. In my defense, he said, you glow. And now you stand with me. Kale laughed, and the sound came easier than he expected. The tension that had once tied his thoughts into knots now felt lighter, still present, but no longer suffocating. Like gravity in the Star Garden. Unpredictable, but no longer frightening. I didn't realize it until today, he said slowly. I kept telling myself I was avoiding you because you scared me, but the truth is, I think I was scared because I cared what you thought. She turned to him fully, her eyes reflecting the shifting colors of the docking ring. Then perhaps, she said softly, you care because something in you knows this connection matters. His breath caught. Connection. A bond, she clarified, not of politics but of choice. Kale stared at her, uncertain, trembling, hopeful, terrified all at once. Ilarith, are you saying? I am saying, she interrupted gently, that I do not wish you to avoid me. Not anymore, not ever again. He swallowed. I don't want to avoid you either. Her ears brightened, soft, luminous, unmistakably joyful. She extended her hand, palm facing upward, a Lethari gesture of openness and trust. Kale hesitated for only a heartbeat before placing his hand in hers. Warmth. Light. Quiet certainty. Not overwhelming, just right. The ship hummed around them, the docking ring glowing with distant starlight, and for the first time since